it's a pleasure and honor to be here. And I noticed on this sign as I walked in the phrase "a voice for the voiceless," and I think that's what we're doing now, because just 60 miles from here, roughly, Shane, my friend, my brother, is sitting in a cell in Otisville. He's been in prison for over 22 years for a crime he didn't commit. To make a long story short, in 2003 I was driving in my car listening to WBAI FM. I'll get back to BAI in a minute, but the program host was talking about prison reform and talking about how many inmates have no contact with the outside. And if anyone wanted to drop a line of encouragement, etc., etc. So I sent a postcard in. And a couple months later, got a letter from Shane Watson, who I didn't know from Adam. I read the letter. We wrote back and forth a few times. And I eventually asked him what happened. Why was he in prison? And he went on to explain to me his case, a case of the most unreliable evidence in the legal world, which is eyewitness identification. I was intrigued. I asked Shane if he had some documentation, and he said, yeah, I have a little bit. And about a week later, I got a box about this big on my doorstep. I read through the trial transcripts, I read through the police reports, I read through the police notes, I read through the interviews of the jury, everything. I felt like a lawyer, and I'm not a lawyer. And it was so blatantly obvious to me that he was set up, that he was the victim of what really amounted to a non-investigation by a very lazy detective on the NYPD, who simply wanted to close the case, get it over with, and get a win, no matter who that hurt, no matter who suffered. 14 years later, here I am with Paula. I started something called the Opus 30 Mission. And it sounds like a funny name, but part of the reason for the name is because one of my favorite scripture passages is the 30th Psalm. And one of the lines in that psalm sums up the case, and that is, weeping, sorrow may last throughout the night, but in the morning there is joy. And we've been working 14 years so far to bring that about. People ask me, what's so special about Shane's case? And to me, what makes it special is that it's so ordinary, sadly. There's no celebrity involved, there's no big media, there's no sexual, scandal, there's nothing. But it is so ordinary because it happens all the time, all the time. This man was convicted on the most blatantly non-existent evidence. Our investigator, Doug Walters, who Paula mentioned, is, do you believe in angels?
Yeah.
I believe in angels because our investigator, having never been paid a dime on his own, through his own heart and compassion, has driven to Georgia, to the crime scene in the Bronx, to visit Shane many, many times without being paid a cent. He does it because he believes in this case. And the so-called witness recanted in court and was stunned that Shane was even convicted. After much, much work, we didn't have money, we didn't have funds. Two summers ago, we managed to get into the Bronx criminal courthouse and make a motion for a new trial with plenty of new evidence, plenty of convincing evidence that this case was flawed and a sham. And I tell you, friends, literally, we sat and that detective I mentioned embarrassed himself on the stand, floundering and lying and making things up in front of a judge who was literally asleep. Talk about conscious stupidity. This judge was literally sleeping and eventually denied the motion. At this point, we are now facing our final, probably our final legal option, that is to go into federal court. And our lawyer says, he's been with us all along, but he says that it's a slim chance that Shane has to get a new trial. That's all we want, is a new chance for his story to come out. People ask what you can do, and I brought some flyers. They're in the back of the room. I always tell people the same thing. Go to our blog, read the story, but first of all, before anything, I don't care about money, I don't care about anything like that. Write Shane a letter. Write Shane a letter. And know that you're talking to a human being. This isn't a statistic. This isn't a case. This isn't an issue. It's a person. It's a person. It's the father of his 2 children and Paula's husband. Write Shane a letter and let God lead what you would do next. The second thing you could do, I mentioned BAI. It was because of BAI that I came into contact with Shane. And inexplicably, for the last 3 months, I have been banging on their doors, sending emails, phone calls, saying, look, we are going to federal court. It's because of your station that this is happening. If I hadn't been listening that morning, I wouldn't be here. Paula wouldn't be here standing talking to you. And for some reason, BAI has not even bothered to respond. I don't understand it. Maybe it's not a big enough story.
Well, don't take it personally. They're going through tremendous upheaval.
Okay.
We love them.
Okay. But what I'm saying, my point is that any kind of media attention or an influential voice speaking out for Shane's case would be very helpful and could change what happens in court. I'll end with this. This morning, the way God works, it's miraculous. This passage came to me from the book of Isaiah, the 58th chapter, where the prophet says, shout out to the people, do not hold back, announce to my people their rebellion. And they're talking about the people of ancient Israel. They seek me day after day and delight to know my ways, as if they were a nation that practiced righteousness. Well, I can tell you, and I don't have to tell you, I'm sure, the sins of ancient Israel pale in comparison to the sins of the society we live in that loves to lock people up, put people away for profit.
Modern slavery.
For profit. Isaiah goes on to say, what kind of fast is acceptable to God? The fast of loosing the bonds of injustice. Then God will smile. Never mind empty words or empty promises. So I thank you. I know my friend and brother is, I know him well enough to know that he feels the energy in this room now. He's not anonymous. That's the main thing. For 22 years, Shane's been anonymous like so many others. And I ask for your prayers and support for Paula, for the family, to take a flyer and let God lead your actions. Thank you so much.